Thank you for tuning in to this Mission Control how-to video on the PMO Dashboard. The PMO Dashboard provides an overall cost performance index and schedule performance index rating for projects, milestones, and actions. Before demonstrating this feature, let's review the following points: understanding the values, key performance indicators, data points and calculations, and required setup and project financials. Understanding the values. The CPI and SPI rating is based on a scale of 1. The values will be colored red, amber, or green based on the breakpoints that you set in the Mission Control console. This can be found under the control pad in the Custom Settings section. If you have a rating that is equal to 1, then your project is running exactly to plan. If your number is greater than 1, then you're running better than planned. And if you're running less than 1, then your plan is not going as it should. Key performance indicators. There are 4 key performance indicators that we use to evaluate the cost performance index and schedule performance index. That would be planned value, earned value, actual cost, and recognized revenue. Planned value. The planned value, or PV, is the percentage of revenue that you plan to earn during the period that you're evaluating. The period is based on the action start date to the end of the selected week. The formula for this is the number of working days for the period divided by the total working days for the action times the hours scheduled billable value. Let's take a look at an example for this. If an action on your project accounts for $1,200 in revenue and has a start date of the 21st of September and an end date of the 30th of September, the total working days for this action is 8. If the master date is set to September 26th, then the evaluation period is the first week of the action. The number of working days in the first week of the action is 5. The total working days for the action is 8. The hours scheduled billable value for this action is $1,200. Therefore, week 1 of this project will have a planned value of $750. So in the first 5 working days of this action, $750 out of the $1,200 should be accounted for. Earned value. The earned value, or EV, identifies how much revenue has been earned based on how much of the work has been completed as a result of the effort expended to date. The formula for this is completion percentage times hours scheduled billable value. Let's take a look at an example. If I have completed 40% of an action that has an hours scheduled billable value of $1,200, then the earned value is $480, or 40% of $1,200. Actual cost. The actual cost, or AC, identifies how much of the revenue has already been accounted for in achieving the current completed hours, or the sum of hours completed billable value on the time logs that are related to the action. The formula for this is hours completed times billable hourly rate. For example, if I've logged a total of 4 hours and my billable hourly rate is $120, the actual cost would be $480. So that's a sum of 4 hours completed on my time logs times $120 per hour, which is $480. Recognized revenue. The recognized revenue, or RR, calculates how much of the revenue due to be earned has been recognized so far, based on the completion percentage. If the project's billing type equals fixed price, this is calculated based on completion percentage. Otherwise, it references the hours completed billable value. The formula for this is completion percentage times hours completed billable value, or completion percentage times hours scheduled billable value. Let's check out an example of this. If we are working on a fixed price project and the action budget is $1,200, and the completion percentage is 75%, then the recognized revenue is $900. So 75% of $1,200 is $900. Now let's get into the calculations for the cost performance index. The cost performance indicator identifies how the project milestone or action is performing against the scheduled revenue. The earned value and the actual cost are used to determine the cost performance index. The formula for this is earned value divided by actual cost. In this example, we have an action with the following values. There's an hour scheduled billable value of $1,200, a completion percentage of 40%, and a billable hourly rate of $120, with 4 hours completed against the action. So for the earned value, we're taking the completion percentage times the hours scheduled billable value. That gives me $480. And then our actual cost, our hours completed times the billable hourly rate, is $480 as well. So our cost performance index for this project is 1. And that means that this project's cost performance is running as planned. Now let's take a look at the scheduled performance index. The scheduled performance indicator identifies how the project milestone or action is performing against the scheduled timeline. The earned value and planned value are used to determine the scheduled performance index. That would be the earned value divided by the planned value. In this example, we have an action with the same $1,200 for the scheduled billable value of 40% complete, and the working days this period is 5, so this week is 5 working days, and the total working days for this action is 8, so just taking some of those values we've used previously. So same scenario, the earned value will be $480. And in this scenario, the planned value will be $750. So the 5 days this period divided by the 8 total working days for this action times the hours scheduled billable value gives us $750. So my earned value, 480 divided by my planned value, 750, equals 0.64, which means that this project's schedule is running behind. So what that means is I've expected to earn $750 by now for this project, but unfortunately I've only earned $480. So I am running behind schedule. When using the PMO dashboard and viewing the cost performance and scheduled performance index, there are a few fields on different objects that you'll want to take note of, especially if you're seeing values that don't seem to align with your project. On your project level, there is a field called Display on PMO Dashboard, and this will determine which projects get displayed on the dashboard. The project budget, total hours scheduled, and hours per day are also considered in the project. Setting up your project financials is key to using this feature, as the rates and values will be used in determining the earned value, planned value, and actuals. You'll want to make sure the correct rates are being pulled in and that the calculations are aligning to the hours logged. On the action object, of course, we have the completion percentage. The start and end dates are used to consider your working days, and then your hours scheduled billable and billable values will play a key role in the calculations as well. And then you also have the date and hours completed fields on your time logs that will roll up to your actions. Let's go ahead and take a look into the settings. When using this feature, it's always best to log the time according to the date that it's scheduled to be logged, so that you're collecting revenue as you've scheduled for your project. If you are logging time for an action and a user is not added as a contributor or as the action owner, then you might be incurring a different revenue than you've expected on your project. So that can affect it as well. You want to make sure the correct roles are logging time to the correct actions on your projects as well. The first setting that you want to ensure you have set up is the action progress tracking. And what this does is it saves the completion percentages from all of your actions into a JSON file. So you'll want to activate this setting, select a runtime, and then save. And this will be when your system updates and your SPI and CPI recalculate for your PMO dashboard. The next thing you'll want to consider is in your custom settings, setting a default hours per day. You'll want to be sure to set your red and green breakpoints for the PMO dashboard. So any score lesser or equal to 0.6 will be displayed red, and anything that is greater than 0.8 will be displayed green, and then of course anything in between will be amber. So you can save your setting there. And again, this is in the control pad of the Mission Control console. The next thing that you'll want to consider is which projects are displayed on the PMO dashboard. So I have a list view that I've created on my project object, and I've added the display on PMO dashboard field so that I can see which ones are going to be included, and then I've selected the plans or the projects that I would like to see that calculation for. Some of these that I'm not using are either templates, archived, or non-billable projects. To navigate to the PMO dashboard, you can do so from the Management pad on your Mission Control console. So selecting the second Mission Control tab, then the Management pad, and selecting View PMO Dashboard. The PMO dashboard can also be located by going to the navigation search and searching for the PMO dashboard. Once I've navigated to the PMO dashboard, you'll want to select a master date, and this is going to pull in calculations for your project up until the week including this master date. So for this summary, I have an average cost performance index of 0.9, which is pretty awesome. That means that my projects are mostly running according to plan when it comes to my cost performance index. On average, I don't have that great of a scheduled performance index. And this means that I'm logging time way later than I've scheduled on my project. So I'm not getting the revenue that I've expected to during the periods that I would like. Let's take a look at adding a comparison date. In this view, I've added a comparison date of January 16th, which now shows a second CPI and SPI. So as the projects are progressing, it seems to be that I'm pulling in the revenue that I'm expecting to, but I'm still not logging time against my projects as I should. It's always best to enter in timely data. So if an action is scheduled to be completed, for example, today, then it's best to log the time for that action today so that the action is completed on schedule. You can also drill down into each of these projects. So for this Rip Curl website build project, I'm getting the revenue that I expect to receive on this project. However, I'm not logging time against the actions or completing my actions when they are due to be completed. I can also see that the third milestone for this project has not been started yet and revenue has not been collected, which can also affect my scheduled performance index. In addition to viewing the CPI and SPI for your milestone, you can also open up the tab or expand the milestone tab to view the cost performance index and scheduled performance index for your actions. In addition to this, you can also view Chatter, the resource assignment wizard, in case you need to reassign some work. And if this action also had contributors, I would be able to tell from here as well, as a contributor symbol will display. And then again, for the last action on this milestone, you can see that it hasn't been started, so a cost performance index and scheduled performance index have not been logged yet. In addition to viewing the cost performance index and scheduled performance index from the PMO dashboard or with the comparison date, you can also view the scheduled performance index and cost performance index on your project insights page. So for this project, I can see that I'm receiving more revenue than I expected, and I'm staying close to schedule. So this project has a higher scheduled performance index than we've seen in the previous examples. Thanks for watching. If you have further questions on this feature, please feel free to check out the resources below